There is a war happening inside you right now. Not a war of weapons, not a war the world can see. No headlines will ever speak of it, no crowd will gather to witness it. Yet every victory you will ever experience, every failure you will ever endure, every dream you will ever build or destroy will first be decided in the invisible battlefield of your own mind. Because before a man conquers the world, he must first conquer himself. Most people never realize this. They spend their lives fighting enemies outside while surrendering to enemies within. They blame the economy, the government, bad luck, difficult childhoods, unfair circumstances, rejection, betrayal, fear, time, age, competition. They search endlessly for the reason their lives remain small, never understanding that the greatest prison was never around them, it was inside them. The human mind is a kingdom, and every thought you allow to live there becomes either a servant building your future or an invader tearing it apart from the inside. You cannot plant fear and expect courage to grow. You cannot rehearse failure and expect victory to appear. You cannot speak weakness into your spirit every day and then wonder why your strength disappears when life becomes heavy. Thought is power, not metaphorically, literally. Every skyscraper began as a thought. Every nation began as a thought. Every invention, every revolution, every masterpiece, every empire, every scientific breakthrough, every triumph humanity has ever witnessed first existed in the invisible theater of the human imagination. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before the light bulb illuminated the darkness. But long before the world saw light, Edison saw it in his mind. Henry Ford saw machines moving across roads before roads were even prepared for them. Walt Disney carried entire worlds inside his imagination while standing broke and rejected. Abraham Lincoln lost elections, businesses, and battles with despair before becoming one of history's greatest leaders. The outer world resisted them because the outer world always resists what it cannot yet understand. But they had already won the war within, and that is the difference. The world bows eventually to the mind that refuses to bow internally. Most people wait for evidence before they believe, but the extraordinary believe before evidence appears. That is why they become extraordinary. The farmer does not dig up the seed every morning asking why it has not become a tree overnight. He understands something modern society has forgotten. All growth is invisible before it becomes visible. Roots form in darkness long before branches touch the sky. And so it is with your life. Everything changes the moment you realize your thoughts are not harmless visitors passing through your mind. They are architects, builders, sculptors, commanders. They are shaping your destiny quietly, consistently, relentlessly, every hour of every day. The person who constantly says, "I can't," trains the nervous system for surrender. The person who says, "I will find a way," awakens forces within themselves they did not know existed. Because the mind listens. Your subconscious mind listens to every word you repeat. It records every emotional pattern. It obeys the images you feed it repeatedly. And eventually, it builds your reality around those internal commands. That is why fear repeated long enough becomes identity. Doubt repeated long enough becomes personality. Weakness rehearsed long enough becomes destiny. But courage works the same way. Discipline works the same way. Vision works the same way. What you repeatedly tell yourself, you eventually become. And this is where the battle begins. Because your greatest enemy rarely arrives looking like an enemy. Sometimes it arrives as comfort. Sometimes it arrives as procrastination. Sometimes it whispers, "tomorrow." Sometimes it says, "you're too late." Sometimes it says, "you're not talented enough." Sometimes it compares your beginning to someone else's middle and convinces you to quit before your story even begins. The war within is dangerous because the voice destroying you often sounds like your own. That voice has stopped more dreams than poverty ever could. It has buried more genius than failure ever has. It has convinced millions of people to live half-lives filled with hidden regret. There are people walking around today with entire universes trapped inside them because fear became stronger than faith. And yet, history belongs to the people who moved anyway. Not because they felt no fear, but because they refused to obey it. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action in the presence of fear. The lion does not become king because the jungle gave him permission. He becomes king because he carries certainty in his nature, and certainty is one of the most powerful forces on earth. A divided mind creates a divided life, but a committed mind becomes unstoppable. Once a human being truly decides, deeply decides, that they will no longer live beneath their potential, something begins to shift in reality itself. Their eyes change, their energy changes, their standards change, their habits change, their tolerance for mediocrity dies. Because clarity creates power. Most people drift through life reacting to circumstances instead of directing them. They wake up without vision, move without purpose, consume without awareness, and wonder why years disappear without transformation. But the mind cannot move powerfully towards a destination it cannot clearly see. A ship without direction is controlled by the storm. A mind without vision is controlled by circumstance. That is why every great achiever throughout history became obsessed with vision. They saw beyond the present moment. They trained themselves to look past temporary pain and fix their attention on possibility. Napoleon Hill once wrote that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And people hear those words without understanding the terrifying responsibility hidden inside them. Because if belief can build greatness, then disbelief can destroy it. You are always creating, always shaping, always becoming. The question is whether you are creating consciously or unconsciously. Every day your mind is being programmed by what you watch, by what you listen to, by who you surround yourself with, by what you tolerate, by what you repeatedly think when no one is watching. The human spirit is like a garden. Whatever you water grows. If you water resentment, resentment grows. If you water excuses, excuses grow. If you water discipline, discipline grows. If you water vision, vision grows. And eventually, your inner world becomes your outer world.